It was easy getting here. It is so interesting how difficult we make getting our good, but I also think that we often have an undercurrent of feeling of not worth it, not an unworthiness. I know at least 2 or 3 of you have experienced that from time to time. And it goes through our entire lives. I love the part about United knowing that we were just really not up to par, and of course we knew we were superior. How many of you grew up in a family tradition where you just drove Chevrolets? You didn't drive a Ford. And then there was the other ones who drove Fords. And we wondered, what was wrong with them? Why would they ever do that? And they'd park next to each other and look almost identical, but we knew that the Ford just wasn't a Chevrolet. And then somebody would marry into the family who drove Fords. And they'd have to come to the party late, park around the corner. I was once a Lutheran, but I wasn't an ordinary Lutheran. I was a Lutheran from the Missouri Senate. That meant something. I don't know what. But when people would say, what kind of Lutheran are you? I wouldn't say a good one. I would say from the Missouri Senate. And they would say, oh, which actually meant rigid, narrow-minded. We're right, you're wrong. Our God's bigger than your God. This kind of thinking has permeated our culture for a very long time. I was at someone's house and I noticed they had a plasma screen and I said, wow. And they said, yes, it's Sony. What do you have? And I said, LG. Oh, you couldn't even afford a whole word. Wow. So I thought about it and I wrote to LG and I said, could you put a few more letters in your name? So my name could be important too. And they said, what do you consider the LG XT? I said, that feels better. And then, of course, Sony already had it. It is so easy to get trapped in the idea that either what I have is all there is to have, or I'm not good enough to have my good. A lot of us have struggled for a very long time with the business of deserving. And so what I want to share with you is one of my mantras. You are largely an undiscovered miracle. And your job in this lifetime is to spend as much time as you can discovering the miracle that you are. And as you discover the miracle that you are, you'll discover it in everyone else. In fact, one of the reasons some of us haven't had totally successful relationships is because we've held an idea of ourselves as not totally successful, looking for a successful person. And as soon as we find a successful person, we find the part of them that's not successful that looks like us and say we won't talk about it. It's like we share our resumes rather than our truth. And we both agree, if we get married, to not talk about the truth. And then after a while it wakes up in us and, how did I choose this person? And we chose this person really as a reflection of our own willingness to be in love, to give and to share, and to be fully human. And I keep noticing that we keep finding people to have in our lives that look a lot like us, and then we don't like them. But I've noticed something else that's really, really funny. I have to share this with you. Have you noticed if ever you've had a partner that you're no longer with, after you're no longer with them, their voice has changed? Now, what I mean by that is, my ex-wife called yesterday, and she said, all exes have a funny voice. It's an irritating voice. Yeah. I'd like you to do this and I'd like you to do that. When you're married to them, they don't sound that way. They sound loving and considerate. And as soon as you get a divorce, their voice changes. It sounds something like a witch. How does that happen? We make it up. We make up the bad and we live in it, just like we make up the good and we live in it. If you're going to make anything up, make up some good stuff. Make up that you're the most amazing person and you're still in the discovery process. When you share yourself with somebody, say, you won't believe this, I know, but I am incredible. Uh-huh. And you know what? You are too. And as long as we know each other, we're just going to keep looking for more of the incredible. And then the person who's with you will do something really nice. And that was incredible. That's just what I do. I know, and that's incredible. How many times do you notice that you don't acknowledge the good in another person because it's just, well, I expect courtesy. I expect them to be decent, it's the way we're supposed to be. As opposed to saying, when you did that, you said that, you acted that way, I really appreciated that. That meant something to me. When you practice actually giving others their good, you begin to notice your own. And you can't notice yours when you're busy being a critic and a judge of everyone else's. I thought so-and-so was really nice. Well, they were pretty nice. Well, they have some flaws, and I can see them. That's my job, to see the flaws. And it makes me superior, which is important. And them a lot less, but I'll pray for them. We can't afford that kind of arrogance and be spiritual and to be loving human beings. We really can't, and yet we do it easily. You all come back, but not soon. You hear that a lot in the South. The friendliness that isn't really that friendly, the friendliness that doesn't take the next step to say, here's the truth. I don't know how to care really well, but I sure am going to work on it. I don't know how to be the best human being I can be because I'm still practicing. Would you be willing to practice with me? Would you be willing to learn with me how it is to be a more loving human being? Because I'm scared half to death of how to do that. And yet I like it. It's really fun. It's exciting. And sometimes I fall down and stumble while I'm doing it because I'm not sure exactly what to say or how to make it work. But I'm going to err on the side of making every effort I can to be whole and to share my wholeness and to see yours and your greatness, rather than to be very clever and very careful and always walk away with a well-concealed criticism. We really have to give that up. We really do. I found myself criticizing people who deserve credit, being critical, of course, of people who drove SUVs. What were they thinking? We moved to Reading and I bought one. All-wheel drive. Needed it for the times we go to the mountains. My whole perspective changed when we moved to Reading because I had different needs. How interesting, I didn't notice anyone else's needs when I wasn't driving one. I noticed my idea, which, by the way, happens to be the right one. How do we get to that? And how willing are we to let that steal from us our chance to truly savor the taste of life and each other and enjoy? There was a little puppy that was here. I don't think many of you saw it. A woman came in carrying, I think she took it to see the kids.